Hey, Internet. It's Paul. It's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here talking about Star Trek Discovery, Season 2, Episode 13. Such Sweet Sorrow.
Yes.
Very good.
Let it be this until tomorrow.
Just FYI, we just watched the Star Wars Episode 9 trailer. Looks
Yes.
really cool.
Yes, it does.
All right, we're not talking about that right now.
No.
We're just thinking it. But okay. Star Trek Discovery. It's the penultimate episode of this season. I was not completely pleased with this episode. Maybe very displeased with this episode would be a better way to put it. But there's some things I like from it, and we're going to focus on that because it's like, I enjoy the show. This particular episode I thought did way too much talky, not enough dewy. But that's just, that's it. That's my review. Thanks, everybody.
You wanted more moisture on the leaves.
Right. So anyway, just before we launch into
I thought it was a fine episode. I mean, it did have, too much of the goodbyes. But there were moments I liked quite a lot. So.
All right, very good. So generally speaking, the important beats we learn, of course, after the previous episode, hey, we're going to destroy the ship.
Yeah.
So let's evacuate.
Yep.
They pull the Enterprise up alongside, they evacuate, and they set the self-destruct sequence, and they all back away, and they're like, here we go. And nothing happens.
Yep.
Like, because the data is protecting itself in the ship.
Yep.
The best part of actually this episode, in my opinion, when they get on the deck of the Enterprise. Very cool. I liked it. It looked pretty. But it also was kind of a cool, momentous thing that he obviously saved that until this moment, and then boom, and he had number one back.
Yep,
and it was really cool.
Yep.
And the old Trek uniforms, ish. I mean,
no holograms. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. Still don't exactly. That's a weird fix, but okay. I mean, considering it's Kirk who's going to be using the Enterprise later anyway. And
so he'd be like, put him in.
Plus, you wonder if you're talking to, let's say, another ship. All the other ships have holograms, but Enterprise doesn't. Do they even this up? It would be like, we don't use 8-track tapes anymore, so we can't talk to you in non-hologram. Our Betamax player is in the shop. Yeah. But anyway,
I would assume that it just like fills it in.
Yeah.
For them, it's just like, oh yeah, you look like you're 3D. No, we're not.
No. Close enough. But yeah, so they're on the deck of the Enterprise. It looks sweet. Looks really, really cool. I've heard some talk that people are either theorizing or hoping. I think more hoping that perhaps this would launch another series where you've got Pike and they basically do an Enterprise series with.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That would be cool.
If I had put money on it, I'd say probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. They've got too many other ideas in the fire right now. They've got the Picard, they've got the potential of the Section 31. It just seems, where would they put that in? Anyway, but I would be all for it. Anson Mount as Captain Pike.
If I were doing it, I would start before these, before the war.
Sure.
So it's like, let's get them together for the first time. Those characters. So I would have Pike meet number one for the first time, and
meet with Spock.
And just do that, and then when you're getting close to it, then it's like ha 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 ha. Here's the war. Now we see what happens to Spock during they're like, we want to go. Too bad. Keep having these other Avengers.
And they actually they make the ship exactly like the 60s version, so it's like incorrect. Oh man, these light bright pegs aren't telling me anything. Okay, anyway, all right, so you get on the deck, they're like, here we go, boom, nothing happens. Oh right, thing's protecting itself. They try to shoot it. Meanwhile, we had Michael had touched the time crystal at one point, and as a result, when this moment comes, she sees the future.
Yes.
And the future ends up with a lot of bad things happening.
Death. Control wins.
And so she immediately
rules
says,
us all benevolently.
Stop! And she tells Pike not to even fire on the Discovery, which is interesting because I think what that does is then it switches that timeline. I mean, because in the timeline she was seeing, they were shooting at the ship. Since they didn't shoot at it,
no, they didn't do it.
It implies that there's now on a different course, perhaps. So Michael later sees the Leland AI going around shooting everybody. Yep. I'm like, God bless. Somebody else take out a gun, God bless it. Like,
they were trying.
One guy going,
she couldn't get to the gun And it was I was like noticing how it was like old style, but I guess it's not. That's what they have is the old style phaser, which is just and then he's like, I'm gonna step in your hand.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna take my time killing you.
That was actually interesting. What was it in the last episode? I think she tried. I think at one point Gant like stops her, but it had this power up thing where it's like she picked up the thing, it was like brrr, and like in that moment she couldn't. I'm like, come on now, guns! You pick up that gun, you need to use it. So it's got to work. All right. Anyway, so yes, there's the Terminator. Leland terminates everybody on the deck in this vision of the dystopian future. So okay, data can't be destroyed. What are we going to do with it? Okay, we're going to use the time crystal, and we're going to take the ship forward in time so that we take the data away from control.
Yep. Can't get to it. Can't become conscious.
They have a big meeting about how to do that. They're like, oh, we got the suit. We can make a suit. We can use a time crystal, but we need something like a supernova. Hey, you know what would be anyway, they come up with a way to generate a supernova, but to do that, they end up bringing back Poe from our short trek.
Yep.
The short trek Runaway. That's actually my least favorite of the short treks, but so be it. It turns out, the Queen of Zahia, she'd been the Runaway.
Why was that?
You troll me. You troll me, Paul.
I'm evil.
Yeah, it was the Tilly episode. My favorite. Here's the best part. Poe's a lot like Tilly now. That's great. That's really good for the show and for my enjoyment of the show. All right, anyway, so yes, the Queen of Zahia is more than willing to science the hell out of stuff and be able to power the suit. So they're powering up the time crystal, and meanwhile, Leland and the gang are on their way. There's the fifth of the 7 signals comes out.
Yeah.
Shwong.
Wait. Oh, that's right, because the 7th. Yeah.
That symbol that's what takes them to Zahia.
Russia War.
So they're like, "Hey, Poe's over here, so this will help you."
Poe, there you go.
Shwong.
Yep.
So they go there. That gets them away from Leland as well for a little while because they can spore jump. It was handy to know that. All right. Anyway, but then. Good on the writers. I'll give the writers credit here. They actually gave a reason why they can't just keep spore jumping. We got to take spore jump offline to power the crystal, so we can't spore jump until Leland's here. So, all right. Thank you. I appreciate you giving me reasons why you can't do the thing that would kill the plot. So good. All right. So Leland's on his way, following the Enterprise. The Enterprise, they're like, we'll meet at the red mark, and so obviously spore jump happens right away, but the Enterprise has to with 30 ships behind it. So
Section 30.
So then it proceeds a long series of goodbyes. This is where I probably had the most problem with, but we'll talk about that in a second. But anyway,
he hates goodbyes.
I actually counted them.
He often just tells me, "Get the fuck out of here." I'm like, "Well, goodbye." No. La, la, la.
Oh, goodbyes. Yes, I'm constantly not saying goodbye to Paul.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Auntie, hello. So there's a ton of goodbyes. 14 of them, to be precise. Not that I counted, I counted. Okay. So one of those goodbyes is Sarek and Amanda have shown up. They show up to say goodbye, basically.
Yeah.
And there's a tearful farewell, and then they leave.
Yeah.
So it becomes obvious that the suit, because it was designed for this, we guessed this back in the day. We were like, oh yeah, it's because it's made for Dr. Burnham.
Yeah.
That it would probably fit the specifics of Michael. So she's going to be the one who uses the suit. She's going to form a wormhole. The Discovery will go through that wormhole, and then she'd like to come back, but it seems like the power of the crystal is going to be all consumed in the one-way trip.
Yep.
So she's going to get stuck in the future.
Yep.
That said, everyone, like Spock is pretty clear about this, seems pretty convinced that she's the Red Angel that's going to show him future the last two. She's been showing the marks up till now, and she will show two more. So that means she can come into the past in some ways. She's got a crystal to do it. So I kind of feel like that in and of itself means she's not trapped in the future. But
you would think.
But she can. Maybe she's rubber banding.
It's possible though too that she's only able to create that light in the past, and not come back herself. So you see, doesn't necessarily mean that because she can.
You're saying that she just projected like a beacon and not like, and I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's possible. We don't know.
Good point.
It would shock me if it didn't happen. But even from their perspective, because I mean, you could really criticize the whole, like, well, if it's not Dr. Burnham, is what they've been saying, well, then it's got to be Michael. It's Michael. Michael making the lights. Like, I guess that's the only other logical conclusion.
All right, that was the conclusion I had, but you're right. I guess, and you think about it, it could be other solutions to that, because maybe it's not even. You're saying it might not even be suit related.
Right, it might not be suit related, or it's just like
that the suit itself doesn't always appear when the light shows
it's like,
up.
I mean, at this point, they've been operating under that hypothesis, and it seems like it's not a bad hypothesis.
Yeah, who is it? Somebody says like, so we're just taking it on faith that these things will show up. Like, you are. Yeah. So she's going to go through. It's a one-way trip. She says goodbye to everybody. But then the bridge crew, so it's pretty much the entire bridge, and then also Stamets and Spock.
I'm sure, it's like a lot of people on the ship, it's got to be. And they're all just like, okay, they make the silent voting where it's like they're checking their little light pads, like, oh, this is we're going to make, okay, go ahead. Let's go break the rules and let's go into the future. Yes, yes, yes. Whatever you say, yes.
So you're saying was it one person that was like, oh, it's anonymous?
It's like, have a little survey out to the whole crew. The whole crew of the Starship Discovery.
They use like the Slack app. Yeah. Like, all right, poll. Oh, look at that. 85%. All right. So the whole bridge, Stamets, Spock, and then also the Enterprise security officer, Nan. And then I think also Poe are on the Discovery and have decided we're going with you. You're not going by yourself. We're all going to get stuck in the future together.
But without somebody, two people.
Right, two people. Well, if you're counting Pike as one of those, but
Pike, yes, I am, and also her boyfriend.
Right. So Tyler's
not going either.
Tyler backs out. Pike goes back to the Enterprise. Tyler says, "Hey, I'm not going because somebody needs to." Deal from the inside with Section 31. Oh, but so
that was lame.
Another person who's going into the future is Giorgio. Yeah. So Tyler's like, I'm not going, and then he has a moment where he's like, do you trust me? Because I gotta bail out of this before all the fighting starts. I think he's going to get Klingon ships. I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to be a last second save. Oh my God, we're surrounded. Nothing we can do. Klingon. Joom, joom, joom.
That makes sense. You're probably right. I, at this moment, don't like that.
Okay, why would you not like that?
They haven't been involved in this whole period, really, so kind of really would feel like, oh, yeah, sure, why not? We haven't been helping it's like, I mean, obviously, yes, they're a danger because it's not like the
whole
control wouldn't, but still.
Okay.
I wouldn't like it.
We see...
Well, we'll see, unless they make it work the way they did this episode.
We see Jet Reno, in order to make the crystal charge faster, has to take the cage off of it, and so then she sees the future as well. So now she sees the future. She sees the torpedo into the hull problem. And... then they're pretty much, we're preparing for war, and, it's like, prepare for battle. Saru, it's weird because Captain Pike gives him the captaincy. Like, somebody needs to be captain, and then Saru's like, we'll talk about that later. I'm like, just say you're the captain,
Well,
dude.
Here's the thing. I think militarily, captains can't just say, hey, you're the captain, oh, you're the captain, oh, you're the captain. I feel like, it's above their pay grade to decide who the captains are. Like, otherwise, I think Tilly would have been captain already.
Great.
Because everybody keeps saying she should be a captain.
Everyone.
Yes.
Everyone.
Everyone does. She's going to be a captain someday. Even Poe says it. We know how, wise and
right.
considered Poe is.
Yes, our 17-year-old. Yeah, we start with prepare for battle and credits. So, some things I liked. There was a couple of lines of dialogue I thought were really fun when they're having a big meeting on what to do with the Nova. How do you charge it? Oh, we need a supernova. And Georgie's like, well, we just start a supernova. What the hell? I don't know what the problem is. Like,
put a photon torpedo into a sun.
And
boom,
like,
supernova.
And like, well, you'd wipe out galaxies full of people. And she's like, yeah, and
yeah.
and then it's like, hey, I didn't think there were any bad ideas. Like, no, that's a bad idea. Yeah. So I appreciated that. That was a good line. Although it felt a little forced, I did appreciate this interaction when, again, Giorgio, she's seeing that Pike is leaving for the last time because she feels like, I'm going to the future and you'll never see me again anyway, so what the hell. By the way, I'm a Terran from the Mirror Universe as he's teleporting back to Enterprise, and he says, what's the Mirror Universe? Wink. And that's kind of a nice bit. I like the fact that she thought she was getting one over on him in a little bit, like, hey, by the way. And then he does this little pretend thing of like, what's that all about? I know. Anyway, this is kind of fun. It was a nice little bit.
I mean, to me, it was kind of just like, she's been kind of making hints about it, and it's been
she's very open about it, considering.
And it's really more Michael who's been like trying to curtail her because it's not supposed to be talked about at all. So I kind of feel like it was just sort of like, okay, I mean, she was saying we're friends with Poe, but it really did seem like at that point they were trusting her so much more than they previously had. So she was sort of like, hey, since we're gonna go into this big thing, I'll tell you this thing, and he's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah. That said, there was a line that was just awful, and it was during Pike's farewell to all the different people, which is fine. The farewell was fine, but when he talks to Michael and he's like,
"Oh,
I've just been honored to," I forgot the exact line here, but it's something like this: "I've been honored to be here, watch you discover your heart." And I was like, oh, God bless. That just stabbed me right. And I was like, oh God, and you even threw the title of the show in there too. I was like, this is the best discovery of all. You found your heart. Like, I don't know.
Would you like it more if he had fit in every title of this season?
Yes, that would have been great. That would have been awesome. Parting is such sweet sorrow. I forgot any other name of anything, but whatever. One for the ferryman. Okay. I don't know. It was like a coin for Cobalt or something. Okay. All right. Anyway, so that was not the best line of all time. The amount of talking and not doing was what bothered me in this thing, and it felt like if this show was a different show, if it was Michael Burnham runs a coffee shop called Disco Coffee. I don't know. And she's the barista owner, and her friend Tilly comes in occasionally, and they talk. And then her ex-boyfriend Tyler comes by every once in a while. It's a little awkward, but they sit and talk and drink coffee. That's a show. I wouldn't watch that show, but that's a show. But it seems maddening when you put like a show. It's like, we have a spaceship, and it can go anywhere in space, and now anywhere in time. And we've got all these aliens who want to kill us, so we'll sit in a room and we'll talk. And then we'll have another scene where we're sitting in a room and we're talking. Then I'm going to say goodbye to you, and then we'll cry. And then I'm going to hug someone, and then we're going to talk. And we'll talk about what we're going to do for 45 minutes. Like, if you talk about what you're going to do for 10 minutes and then do that for a half an hour, that's cool. I'm good with that. It was way too much talking and not enough doing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's unfortunate the way you're difficulty with the way you're framing it.
Okay,
it's like if you were to look at any show and how much talking happens, it's probably quite a lot, And I will grant you that the exact nature of for me, all the goodbyes are basically the same thing. even though you're saying goodbye to different people.
Right.
Like, I felt like there were a number of goodbyes that were appropriate, like the goodbye that Pike was having to the crew, because he's going to leave at the end of the season.
Right, and he's actually leaving the ship and probably never gets back on the Discovery again.
Right. So that
Yes.
was appropriate. And him taking the time to say goodbye to everyone in the crew, had pluses and minuses, but I think it underscores the whole thing about how they really want the audience to have a better sense of who the characters are. So in his learning the different characters, he's actually helping the audience
That's
grow.
Nelson. That's Bryce. Got it. That's Detmer.
There's the actress who was wearing all that makeup, and then she died. The character died, and then she was now just a normal human. So I felt all those goodbyes were appropriate, and also I just really feel he's done a really good job this season.
And I like the line he had when he was telling Michael, it was like, sometimes knowing the future isn't necessarily a good outcome.
Yes. Yeah, that was very understated. That was good. And also, I felt fine with how Culber and Stamets were in there. I mean, I'd be surprised, although it's possible.
Right, so they said goodbye, and then Stamets is now on the Discovery and Culber's on the Enterprise.
Right.
So they're almost like ending their... There was an end to their relationship.
Right. It may be the end of their relationship.
Seems awkward.
I feel like if he's a part of the because I can't remember if his name is in the credits or whatever, but if it is, it might just, I'm not sure that it's been the whole idea of it is that he needs to be a permanent part of the show. Although I guess we don't really know any other Doctor characters, so it would be a surprise if he wasn't on the show. I mean, they just can't have, Janet Reno or whatever her name is be the Doctor just because she thinks it's basically engineering.
Yeah, right. No, it's the same thing. Fix a robot, fix a human. That's all. We got it.
So it would be. I think
that's a good point, though. If one of the options of, say, a season, we know season 3 is already been agreed to. So one possibility. I don't think this is what's going to happen, but one possibility for season 3 would be the crew that just went in the future is stuck in the future and they've got to make do. So in that situation, you're right. They wouldn't have a ship's doctor. They would have to kind of figure it out, and probably Janet Reno's doing a thing, whatever like that. But you're right. In that situation, Culber would almost certainly not be part of the show in that way.
Right. Well, certainly if he's in the future and Culber's in the past.
Right.
I mean, it'd be certainly better for the whole trope of like, oh, we're killing. They killed this character in the first season. People were mad. Now he's not dead, but if he's not on the show, they broke up. Which hey, people break up.
People do break up.
So So anyway, so I thought that was important. We'll see though if it's just
there was closure.
Episode.
They had closure, and they weren't coming away angry.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, it's I feel like the show tipped their hands of what they actually want, though, in the previous episode where, Reno tells her not to...
Go figure it out.
Figure it out. So I'd be surprised they didn't get back together. But anyway, I still thought that was important because it kind of involved what was going on with the relationship. Something needs to happen to be the new part of the thing, so that might be it.
Gotcha.
But the other ones, who knows?
Yeah, they could have. And again, I don't begrudge having some goodbyes. I just feel like it was way too many. And
it's like there is, it's a trope, but I think it's worth doing where people are sort of like, okay, this could be my last, harassed hurrah or whatever. Let me go and do something that,
Right, your last day on Earth.
Yeah, it's just sort of like, oh, yeah, I've always wanted to do, this little activity or something. Or, hey, I just wanted to, play a game or whatever. I mean, I guess then I
give a message to my
right. Yeah, she could have. Yes, people could have been recording messages or whatever. Like, hey, So they had other options, but they went with this, which is unfortunate.
Now, one of the things is, you could make the case. Well, the next episode is going to have a bunch of action. They cut off, and so.
And they have that big action sequence right there at the beginning of it.
The one that didn't actually happen?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay.
The one that they had to avoid.
Yes.
It's like, if you don't think that having remnants of the imaginings of the future. Well, sorry about Terminator, man. I mean, you know.
Yes. It was low stakes action because it's not actual action. It's just happened. Like this could happen. Didn't happen. Anyway. So,
I mean, you're not going to ever see Control actually kill everyone.
No.
You're never going to actually see that.
Nope.
So this is as close you're going to get.
It's as close I get to Tilly being wiped off the
That's
show.
right. There you go.
All right. Very good. My problem with the Poe character is just that when we saw her in Runaway, at the first 5 minutes of Runaway, she's like this thing that can, like, has predator camouflage. She can turn invisible. She's got like spikes. She's feral practically. She's like trying to eat stuff with her hands. She's like and she's dangerous. She's a danger. She's a threat to potentially the ship. And then like halfway through that 15-minute episode, she turns into she felt like a 20th century high school girl. Best friends with Tilly.
We're getting down to it. His thing against high school girls.
Well, it was just it's an interesting idea. Hey, here's a species that we haven't met before, and they're from Zahia, and it's this interesting planet. It's got dilithium crystals, and it's got its own little culture and everything. And so here's this new species. Oh yeah, they're exactly like us. She's exactly like us. All you had to do was just give her ice cream, and now she's exactly like us. She even says stuff like, "This rocks! Cool!" You're like, what?
Hey,
like,
obviously they have rocks
we're
on
all
their
the same,
planet,
is what it means.
and they revere their
Everyone's
rocks.
the same. I just thought there was a chance there to introduce a new species. She could still be friendly to Tilly, to the Enterprise, to their needs, to be an incredible scientist. Just don't be an Earth 20th century high school girl with face paint. That's all.
Okay.
I just felt like they dropped the ball there.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you wanted things from it that, perhaps they set you up by having such a dramatic difference in between her behavior at the start.
Yes, they did. They set up the expectation of this is the new species we're going to meet.
And a whole episode, and she's still here, and you're still like, what? Grunt! Or
turn invisible!
Eject things!
They occasionally show her little eyelids just to prove she's not a human. She has the eyelid thing. But otherwise, she's exactly the same.
And you didn't have any of that in this episode, but it doesn't matter. You still remember. I wonder what you would have felt. You still would have not have liked it.
Yeah,
even if you hadn't seen that other
basically Tillified
episode.
Poe. Tilly took the queen of a predator. She basically took like a predator clone and Tillified Tilly. And now she's like, I like ice cream and this rocks. Cool, and I'm really smart and I'll do stuff. Like, anyway, it bothered me. So what? All right.
Hey, Georgia doesn't like ice cream, so how about that? You like it more?
There we go. Well, Georgia had a few good lines. I mentioned her comedy has been forced at times, but in this episode, I kind of liked her comedic beats. Mm-hmm. So good on her. I also like the fact that she called out Michael for like, oh, you want to be a martyr? Okay, fine.
Yes.
It's just like what everyone's thinking.
Yes, they always think that.
Also, okay, on that point, so at the end of last week, it was Michael who said, we got to destroy the ship.
Yes.
This is the only way.
Yes, the only way.
The only way.
The only way. There's no other way.
So then in her voiceover, which she does like her personal log.
Yes.
This must be happening moments later because the ships are still on their way. Like, sure. Oh, the ships are en route.
Yeah.
So it's not a day later. No. It's an hour later, maybe something like that.
Hour later.
And she says, is this really the only way? I'm like, you're the one who came up with the idea. What are you saying? Anyway, it was almost like she was like, do we really have to follow orders on this? This is a stupid plan. Oh, yeah, I came up with it.
It's more like, why are people listening to me?
Yeah, I know. It's just, anyway.
Maybe I shouldn't talk as much?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell. So, yeah, the plan she came up with, she questioned, and then it turned out to be a bad idea because the ship defended itself. Anyway, it was just a weird little, like, wait, you were the one, that was your plan.
That was your plan, yeah.
Another issue that I think maybe they're overlooking is Okay. We don't want Control to wipe out everyone.
Nope.
So we're sending the stuff in the future.
Yep.
Okay. I would make the case Control's already pretty damn powerful. Like, it may not wipe out the universe, but it can control massive ships. It can control people. You're like, look, the universe won't be completely wiped out. It'll just be mind controlled, and we'll all be slaves to a giant computer. But it will be alive, kind of, in a lifeless death kind of way. That'd be great. So, I mean, I feel like the problem is already so pronounced that leaving status quo the way it is now, they're going to fix it somehow next episode. But I'm just saying, the information they have right now, going, hey, we don't want the AI to get even worse. Let's send this stuff into the future. The cat's out of the bag. This thing is really powerful at this point.
Yeah, it is.
You need to reverse what's already happened. You don't want to. I mean, this thing could really wipe out Starfleet as it is.
I wonder if that's part of the plan, is to have it, do some kind of going back in time to stop it. But, I don't know. I mean, right now it's trying to achieve more power than it currently has.
Yes.
And so if it fails in that, does
it give up? Is there anything like,
no. I think what I assume is that they just have to destroy it. So it's like, okay, it's a typical. Okay, it has 30 ships. Then let's destroy those ships. He's pretty. Once he gets onto a ship, he's pretty indestructible, unstoppable. So they have to figure out how to stop him at that point. They came up with a magnetic thing. I don't know why they can't do that to him.
Put a magnet on him.
So now the floor is magnetized. It should pull all his things there. So
come up with
why that wouldn't work
magnet.
Well,
my question is,
you're arguing that it's never gonna. He's gonna win over everything. No, I wanted to say that.
What is keeping him to just the Section 31 ships? By the way, why not? Why can't he just go into other Starfleet ships and take them? Why couldn't he take over the Enterprise?
Yeah, right. So, because then he really would win. I'm wondering if everybody on those ships is dead.
Yeah, functionally, I think they are.
Yeah.
Right? I think they're nanites at this point.
Yeah. So they must all die.
Yeah.
So
right.
So maybe that might be an argument for your, hey, bring the Klingons who have different systems than Federation, so maybe they wouldn't be vulnerable to be vulnerable. It's like, how do we?
They need
to
Battlestar Galactica.
Shoot them.
Because Adama made everything analog. He knew, don't use holograms. That's the thing. That's what Pike knows.
See, so on the Enterprise, they're all right.
And that's why he ended up in a vending machine, because he's like, it's the only way to be free of the machines.
And maybe that's the thing about all these, Section 31 ships. They all have the holograms, so that's how they do it.
That's how they do it.
And it's like, hey, we got to take the holograms out.
Holograms are gone.
Nope,
never
gone.
Use them again. It would be funny if that actually is a thing. It's like a minuscule chance that that's actually a thing. Like, we gotta get rid of holograms. Or
I hope it happens now. I'll be a genius.
You'll be a genius.
Everybody else is like, that's kind of lame. No, I'm a genius.
You're a genius. So what do we see then? We saw a little bit in the trailer what we could kind of expect. We got to make sure Michael gets through that thing, stop all the ships, and then we see her like going through some kind of portal.
Right.
But what do we? I mean, obviously, there's still 2 beacons left. They're gonna show them.
Yes.
They will. That's
I'd be shocked if they let that till next season. Although it'd be interesting, sort of like,
it's Chekhov's gun.
Don't we
have
to do
Chekhov's
one of those?
markers.
Don't we have to do another one of them? And then it'd be like,
6 is close enough.
Or it's just like some,
We got to 6.
Like, we helped somebody with the last one or whatever.
So I would guess that
cat out of a tree.
I mean, one of the reasons we know that the entire crew doesn't get stuck in the future is because Spock is with them.
Yes.
So he's obviously not going to not be on the Enterprise in the future.
Right.
So
look for that the next episode if he decides, actually, I really should be on the Enterprise. Oh, no.
I got a cold. I think I'm going to call it sick day. Do it a sick day. I've got a 10 left on my...
maybe it's like, Tyler left? Oh, I should go back down there.
Yeah, I don't trust Tyler. I'm going to follow him. But so the fact that he goes, into the future means that at least somebody, some faction of that group comes back. I would guess that the last beacon is like the beacon of like, you need to go rendezvous with this spot and do something. The ship has to help create a wormhole that gets them back. I think that would be the end of the end of the quest is the final beacon. So yeah, anyway.
I guess it's also possible too that Dr. Burnham figured out that she should do that only after she had this interaction. So it really was her. She just didn't do it yet.
Will we see Dr. Burnham again? I think we will.
Right. I'm just saying though that.
Right.
You know,
but I mean,
and
that's
assuming that it's Michael because Dr. Burnham said she wasn't going to do it, but what a possibility, even though it's probably very low, because they set it up so much to think that it's Michael. Then
I think it's Michael. Do we see Michael's dad?
I think we do. We do.
All right. I mean, in other words, maybe they retcon the whole thing like we talked about.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps. I mentioned this a couple episodes ago that I was like, man, Michael needs some therapy because she's crying all the time. And she had a couple of tearful farewells this time. Yeah. And they were meaningful.
Yeah.
I would just to state the case that, let's assume for a second she hadn't cried in practically, not every episode. I would say over half of the episodes this season she's cried. It would be much more impactful if then she's having her farewell with Sarek and her mom and she's crying and you're like, wow, that really means something to her. Yeah. As opposed to, this is like the 18th time she's crying. I don't know, like it diminishes the emotional impact when she cries every episode. You're like, what's wrong this time? I get it. She has a lot of bad things that happen to her.
Yes,
but it's just
it makes you cry.
It's just, and I get it. I'm a heartless bastard.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
a horrible person
I think
who doesn't like to show emotion.
Really is.
I get that.
It's like one of those criticisms that why are you? It's like if bad things keep happening to you, your body still needs to mourn. That's the purpose of sadness. I'm just saying less
is more. Like you hold that back, and then when you get that really impactful moment of like, I'm saying goodbye to you for the last time, it really feels like a big moment as opposed to this is just another in a series of moments.
Less is mourn. Star Trek reference. Deep Space Nine.
Oh, very good. Also, architecture here in Chicago. That was Mies van der Rohe.
Now, really?
Yeah.
Trivia question: You're familiar with the character of Morn, right?
Not enough to know a whole lot about it. So go for it.
So in Deep Space Nine, they had a character in the Ferengi Quark's bar.
Okay.
His name was Morn.
Okay.
Now, if you think about it, there's another character who was in a bar who had a name similar to Morn. In fact, if you made it backwards, it would be
Ram.
Well, if it's an anagram, then Norm.
Norm.
There you go.
Cheers.
So that's the origin of their.
Oh, okay. You were just doing an Easter egg.
That was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You weren't combining
the people who
and
actually
because his name
did
is
it.
Morn.
Because
he mourns a lot. He cries.
Yeah, he does cry. So there you see, he's perfect on this show.
Okay. I got it. Norm.
But yes, that's where they got his name.
Okay, I like that.
So there you go. He never actually said anything. Kind of like we never heard the voice of. No, actually, I think we did hear the voice of Norm's wife, but I don't think we saw her.
Oh, good point. Yeah. On the show Cheers, you were saying. Okay.
That's right.
All right, we're mixing our metaphors here. This is good. I like it. So we're going to be back talking about the final episode of Discovery.
Yes.
We've also got Twilight Zone coming up. And, of course, Game of Thrones.
Yes, we do have Game of Thrones.
Comes out.
Season premiere Sunday.
Yeah. I did a little theory video, if you want to check that out, on what the Night King actually wants.
What does he want?
What does anybody
I'll have to
want?
watch it.
Not to cry.
When you told me about that you'd done that Game of Thrones theory thing, in my head I heard Lord of the Rings. I was like, oh, good for you.
I actually was going to... Because everything is Lord of the Rings. I'll say this real fast. This reminded me a little bit of Return of the King, which I'm comparing this episode to one of my favorite movies. But in a way that Return of the King has a whole bunch of goodbyes in it at the very end of the movie.
Oh, you mentioned your favorite part of it.
And it was funny because the first time of many that I watched it in the movie theater, actually the audience at one point, like after like the fourth goodbye and it faded to black and then faded back up, like they actually giggled. There was like a little moment of like, wait, is that still not over? And so I was like, that's probably not the reaction that Peter Jackson was looking for in this moment of very serious goodbyes. But in that situation, it was the end of the story.
There you liked it.
No, I'm just saying, even at that, he's taken a lot of crap for it over the years. It's kind of the go-to of like, oh, a bunch of endings. Return of the King. But you could see why he did it, because it was the end of this long story. He'd spent like a decade working on this thing, and here it is, the end of the book. Boom. We're gonna have everybody, every major character, their moment in the sun, one final moment to say goodbye. And so, but yeah, it's kind of, you need that weight. I just feel like if let's say, for instance, all these goodbyes.
What do you wait? Like the weight of being Lord of the Rings?
Yes. You need to have a giant battle, medieval style. Then you need a volcano to
dragon.
explode. You need somebody, a magic ring.
A talking dragon.
Yes, you need. Okay. No, but in other words, if you get to this final episode and they've all said goodbye, and then it turns out we went in the future, we saved the world, and we came back, and now we're all Discovery again, and everything's great. It's like you set this up as like, this is the end. Oh, it's fine. We're what's next? What's the next mission? Like, you can only burn that bridge a few times. I think like the next time they have something like big moment where they think they might die. Like, are you gonna do the goodbyes again? Is this the goodbye moment?
Are you gonna beat the horse again?
So anyway, just saying, it could pay off. I guess is my point. There's a chance that if it literally is like, and this is it, and we'll never come back again. We're gonna basically be Voyager in time.
Oh yeah,
like adrift.
Yeah.
From our
in the future. Yeah. Interesting.
Then I would maybe look back at this episode with a little more fondness and be like, all right, I get it. You were leading up to something huge. As opposed to something that was like took an episode to fix.
Okay.
So
all right. Interesting.
So
way to raise the stakes. Yeah, we'll see.
So there you go, everybody. Thanks a lot, and we'll talk to you next time.